But what is going on, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well today. It's good to be back in here with you. It's good to bring another episode to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the last one covering some tips on how we can improve. If you haven't checked that one out, go ahead and check it out. It's got some awesome tips that you might be able to use that may make your kayak fishing experience much better. Something that I could have used when I first got started in the sport. But guys, it's so good to be here. I'm slowly coming out of that, that crud. My family and I've been sick for the last few days. I'm sure you heard it in the last episode. You might hear it a little bit in this one, but overall, it's good to just be better. Did a little bit fishing on Lake Lanier this past weekend, and let me tell you guys, it feels good to catch fish on a pressured lake. I mean, it's just a good feeling. So we're still not in that, winter phase. We're still in that fall phase down here. And just been enjoying it lately. The rivers are starting to get really cold. So I'll be spending a lot of time in the lake the next few weeks. And guys, I hope you've got a good cup of coffee. I hope you're enjoying your commute wherever you're at. Let me know where you're listening from. Let me know how the fishing's been. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys. And let me know how you've been enjoying the previous episodes. If you're new to KFW or if you've been following for a while, guys, I'd love to hear from you guys because what's important to me is that I'm adding value to your day. That's why we're here, to make sure we bring you the best content for kayak fishing. And today we've got a great guest. We're going to be talking kayak fishing, electronics, how to become an efficient angler in tournament scenes, and if you're just fun fishing as well. We've got a young guy who has been working hard, and I'm excited to bring him back on, and let's get right into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Jake Angules, who is he's been on here before with us. He's
Mhm.
been on here with Justin, and Jake is coming off of an awesome year this year with the Kayak Bassmaster Series presented by Native and Newport. And tonight we're going to get into a few topics about how he's been dialed in these different bodies of water all across the country. And I know he's going to be dropping some juice for you guys. So, Jake, how are you doing, man?
Oh, we're doing great. Thank you for having me on, and I'm excited to chat.
No, excited, man. Super excited to have you here. As I said, I think most people here who follow the tournament scene, they know exactly who's on, and they know exactly what you're about and what you can do on the water. And I'm really excited, man, to get you back in here because you're coming off of a really good year, man. I mean, honestly, with most of the conversations in the tournament scene, we for as far as for like me and my circle, we were pretty sure you were in there
Mhm.
until the very last few moments. But man, for those that don't maybe know you or haven't heard of you, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got into kayak fishing, and you know, just a little bit more about you, man.
Yeah, so I'm from New Hampshire. I've been up here for a long time, so a lot of long drives for the tournaments. Got into kayak fishing. Man, I've been in the front of a kayak for a long time, getting paddled around by my dad. I got old photos from really young, and that's kind of how we got into the kayak stuff. Was my mom got my dad a kayak for his Father's Day gift, and that's kind of what we used for many years, just the local ponds around here and stuff. And then, kind of as I got old enough to drive, even a little bit before, they would drop me off, and I would take that kayak and paddle around the ponds for a couple hours, and they would pick me up after. And then I bought an old canoe off the side of the road and fixed it. And then we had that stashed in the, there's a pond probably half a mile back in the woods behind my house. So we had that canoe stashed there. And so I cut my teeth on that pond when I was young. And I would walk back
Yeah,
there with a friend and we'd throw that canoe in and fish out there a lot. Very like boggy beaver pond, swampy type fishing. And then started doing some tournaments. Started out local, got my teeth kicked in. I was still getting driven to the tournaments and dropped off. So I've been doing it for a long time, and then stepped up and said, "Okay, this local stuff's fun." And I said, "Okay." Started to have some success in the local stuff when I turned like 16, and then started doing some of the KBF national stuff at the time when it was separated into regions. So like
hmm
still had to have a guardian on the water with me at that point. So my dad would go with me, and because I was under 18, he had to be on the water with me the whole time. So that was a lot of fun. Had some borderline events where I was like 2 spots out of a check, but it really gave me that motivation to keep going. And then I took a year off from the national stuff, and then I kind of started hitting it hard and had a lot of success. That next season in KBF, ran KBF for a while, and then started doing some Hobie stuff. And then once all that stuff kind of fell down, um, we really focused on the bass schedule. And this was my second year fishing most of the trail stops. We had an okay first year. I think we finished like 15th in AOY. So it was a
Okay.
good first year. But I was hungry. There was a lot of stuff that kind of didn't go in my favor that first season. So I was hungry to get back out and really show people what I'm about. And we had some good years in KBF back in the day, made a couple tens. So, um, yeah, but definitely this Bassmaster was the way I was going to eventually go. So it's been great. We've been rolling on them, and we had a great year last year. The schedule really lined up for me to my strengths, and um, yeah, it was good.
Awesome, man. I love hearing people's like story of how they got into it. It's always something special. It's always something cool. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, now we have like amazing rigs and
Yep.
a lot of guys out here getting their electronics dialed in and doing tournaments and stuff like that. But it's like when you ask them how they got started, like for me, it was a sun dolphin that someone gave me off of Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was just me and a book bag, a spinning rod, and just a couple of ponds here close by, and just getting thrown back and forth by the wind,
Oh yeah.
and just trying to catch fish, man. Like just trying to have fun.
Mhm.
It's so cool to watch the evolution. So for you to start like that, and then get to the point where you're doing these events, you got to have your dad be with you. Like, dude, kudos to you because that's a lot of determination, and to your dad as well for
Yeah.
supporting you and
Mhm.
being with you. That says a lot, man.
Yeah.
So, congrats first of all on just grinding. It sounds like you've just been working hard, man.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
I don't like losing, I like winning, so I just keep putting my head down and put the long hours in, and it works out eventually, but I've lost a lot, and a lot of people that kind of just met me don't know that I went through the time of getting my teeth kicked in. I was at the events finishing in 140th place. So to the guys that or the younger people that are just not there yet, it will click. Like you're going to get to a point where everything starts clicking and you kind of figure out your groove, your style, and you can really go on a tear really quickly once everything starts clicking.
Yeah. That's really good. And that's what I want to get into today. So, we're it's November 2025. Bassmaster Series is done this year. They just announced a schedule for next year.
Mhm.
So, I'm guessing you already took a look at that.
Yeah, I took a peek at it. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I want to get into is, we're going to talk a little bit about Livescope
Mhm.
and how that plays a big part for you. Like I said, you're building that reputation. People know what you can do. People know what you figured out. And I wanted to ask you, what has been, the biggest difference between this year and last year that you went from 15th to second this year? What was the biggest? What were the three biggest things for you that really made a difference?
One of the biggest ones was the schedule. The schedule really
Oh,
set up into my favor. Um,
okay.
and that
What does that look like for it being your favorite? What do you mean by that?
a lot of like offshore events. I'm an offshore angler. That's what we have around home. Smallmouth lakes, really, I'm a smallmouth guru. I spend so much time smallmouth fishing. So I really understand those fish and the way they set up. Um, not saying I can't largemouth fish, but my strength is smallmouth, especially deep water smallmouth. I really have spent so much time on that type of fishing, and so with Dale Hollow being on the schedule, circled that one the day it came out and said that's going to be a very in my ballpark type of event that's down south, and then Champlain coming up. I love Champlain. I spent a good amount of time on there. It's about 3 hours from me, so I've been there for a lot of local events and some bigger championship stuff up here. So that was another one I circled and said I can probably do pretty good at this one. And 10 Killer was another one that I circled. Clearwater, smallmouth. Um, it that event kind of threw a curveball at us, but we adapted and made it work. But that was another great one. They set up the way I like them to set up, and so that was a super fun event. But just offshore, I'm an offshore guy. Um, Not many people in the kayak like to go offshore, I find.
Yeah.
So when you go offshore, you're cutting out a lot of the people, and you kind of have a lot of stuff to yourself, which I like a lot. And yeah, I mean, that's my strengths. So we try to roll with our strengths as much as possible and kind of use the bank and the shallow stuff as a fallback. But we spend a lot of time offshore. I spend a lot of time offshore and just looking, graphing and graphing and graphing, trying to find that needle in the haystack out there. And for example, at 10 Killer, I only found 4 spots, but every single spot was really good. And so, and that's a whole week of practice, 12 to 14-hour days of finding next to nothing, and then um, finding a good stretch and 2 or 3 of those spots that we can bounce around to. So finding that needle in the haystack, being patient, and but I've like especially going Toledo. I thought was going to be a more offshore event than it was, and I think I I definitely am kicking myself for not going up shallow early enough and
Hmm.
trying to push that offshore bite for so many days straight just to find nothing. But I just know that's my style, and if I find something, it's normally going to be very, very good. I'm going to have it to myself, and um, yeah, so we try to push our strengths, but I think next year I'm definitely going to adjust what I do and try to use the kayak to its advantage more than what I did this year, and kind of try to go under those bridges, those low bridges where the boats can't get, and that kind of stuff. So I think
Okay.
next year we're going to dedicate at least 2 days of practice to using the kayak to its advantage, which I don't normally do. So I think some adjustments need to be made for next year, but overall we had a great year. But definitely was the schedule was a lot in my
That's
favor.
one of the main things.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about the other two for you? The other two
Um,
biggest differences?
Another difference was definitely I put a lot of time into the minnow. I saw what was coming down the pipeline with the whole minnow deal, and
Hmm.
I've been on it pretty early, so I probably already had like a good year into it when a lot of people were just picking it up. And the way I fish, it definitely helped. The minnow played at all my best 3 events, not fully, but at some of them it played all the way. So um, definitely trying new techniques, learning new techniques, and applying those techniques on the road definitely helped. And being on top of those new trends, um,
Yeah.
and not getting stuck in your ways of let's just go do this, and if it's not working, we're not going to adjust. But a lot of adjustment, yeah, definitely. So,
And then your third one.
ooh, my third one I think would be I made um, a a bigger investment into my boat this year. So I run a New Canoe Unlimited, and before I
Yeah.
was running a Motor Guide XI3, which was pretty slow. It was a good motor, and I liked it. But I went to a 24-volt system this year with a power pull move trolling motor, which it's an expensive motor, but man, that's a game changer. I mean, the amount of water I was covering a day and everything that I was seeing on the water um, allowed me to cover more water, stay out there longer, carry less batteries. So uh, that trolling motor was a huge, huge benefit to me. Um,
How I gotta ask you this because I'm looking for next year. What kind of speed are you getting on that motor on your new one?
so I'm running a 24-volt system, and I'm getting right into the fives. So
That's pretty good.
it's
Yeah.
pretty good. I've ran down some NKs and torpedoes and stuff, and people turn their
Yeah.
heads when a bow mount passes them. They're not used to that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, that's pretty good.
but the
Yeah.
run time is just out of this world. Where I was doing 20 plus miles in practice some days. So just crazy run times, the brushless, um, also having the instant reverse on the remote allows you to
Mhm.
use it as almost like the power brakes that you see on bass boats. And it allows
Yeah.
you to, oh, I see some fish. I'm coming in pretty hot. You hit that button, it automatically throws it on 10 and backs you perfectly back up off of it, which I found to be a lot of help this year on some stuff where you're creeping up on a brush pile, you're coming in a little hot, you can blow yourself back and almost completely stop yourself in your tracks, which not many people are talking about that, but I think it's a huge deal.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I need to look into that because here, I'm around just herring fisheries, a
Yep.
lot of spotted bass, a lot of suspended fish moving around in clear water. And one of the things I struggle with is like, I'm out here, I'm looking on my side imaging, I'm throwing scope around, looking around, and I end up just like running over just schools of fish.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's definitely a feature that you're right. No one is really making any noise about that, or
Nope.
maybe even talking about it as much as they should be. But that's crucial, man. And I think
Mhm.
people don't realize how important these things are when you're
Yeah.
dedicating hours on the water. So,
Yeah.
you know, so you know, speaking on practice, your electronics and everything, man, for someone like you, how many days are you practicing right now for your events on average?
Normally the whole week. I mean, a lot of these places we're going to, they're far away. They're normally places we've never been, and um, I probably didn't need to practice the whole week at Champlain. Honestly, I probably could have gone away with 2 days of
Mhm.
practice, but it's Lake Champlain. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna have a blast. I'm gonna catch them.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
just went. I just went there just to catch them. I mean, I was there the whole week. I looked at a lot of different stuff, but I probably only needed about a day or two there. But everywhere else, I mean, it's pretty intimidating as a northern guy to drive to Oklahoma and try to break down 10 killer. So
yeah,
having the
yeah.
whole week, it definitely helps, but um, somewhere between 5 and 7 days is what I like. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. And then let me ask you this for anglers that are getting started out in kayak fishing tournaments, local stuff, local derbies, grassroots. Um, thinking too for those guys that maybe don't have 5 days, maybe they have one or two or a
Mhm.
couple of weekends. Tell us how you would break down practice if you had a day or two of practice. What would that look like for you, incorporating your electronics, your new
Mhm.
canoe, your rig? What would
Yeah.
be the most efficient way for someone learning to do that?
Yeah. So try to do as much research at home. I mean, that stuff's your time at home is free. So do as much stuff you can at home. I do a ton on Google Earth. If the lake has drawdown stuff, I'm on there drawing the
Mhm.
lake down, looking at all the times of years, dropping waypoints, moving them from on the Google Earth to into my units, so that way I can kind of get an idea. Like, okay, I'm looking for rock piles that might be in 15 to 20 feet of water. I know they draw this lake down 25 foot, so I can look at all those piles and okay, the lake's going to be up when I get there. So that way I can pick a boat ramp. I already have something to go look at, and it saves me tons of graphing time. I mean, from finding fish cribs that are on dry land when the water's down to rock piles, logs, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was a very big deal for me at Murray, um, and move those waypoints in so that way I can go right to a waypoint. I mean, I don't know if it's good or not, but it's something to start at, and or just find what you're comfortable with and run that as much as you can. If you're a dock fisherman, go fish docks. If you're a grass fisherman, go fish grass. Just pick something that you're super confident in and start there. Sometimes if I'm struggling, I might find a dock and just say, I know how to fish docks. Let's go run some docks and see what happens, because you never really know. You might just find the magic stretch of docks and start crushing them. But definitely having a game plan going in is huge. I feel like some people show up to events, they're not prepared for the event, and then they spend 3 days 3 days of their practice basically driving to ramps like a chicken with their head cut off when they could come in with a game plan, show up, and really look at productive water the whole time and maximize the time on your water, um, especially. And with the kayak, sometimes it is good to dump in. If you're not feeling it within 2 to 3 hours, pull out and go somewhere else. I mean, because if you're not confident in the area you're in, you're not going to fish good in practice and you're not going to catch them.
Yeah. Would you say that's like a big mindset thing?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
This
Yeah.
whole
Cause
sport's a mindset, being confident
yeah.
in what you're doing. And
Yeah.
Abby said it the other day on the podcast too. It's all mindset. You
Yeah.
gotta,
Absolutely.
I tell a lot of people, even if you're not the best angler, show up to the Derby as if you are. And then if you don't have that mindset, it's basically not worth showing up because you're going to show up and say, oh, there's Jim. Jim wins every tournament here. I'm not as good as him. Well, Jim's going to beat you that week, most likely, because you're not in the mindset. You got to show up even if you're not the best at what you're doing. Try to think that you're the best at it. I'm not the best at throwing a spinnerbait down the bank, let's say, but if I think I am and I'm confident in the bait I have tied on, then I'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I don't know what it is, man. Like you mentioned earlier, you had to get your teeth kicked in. Like I
Mm-hmm.
spent the last 3 years getting my teeth kicked in, man. We've got some guys here, dude. They are hammers, bro.
Yep.
Like I'll tell you, they could show up to any event.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter where they're fishing. Like they're gonna catch 95 inches of spotted bass or 100 inches of largemouth. And I remember something had to snap inside of me this year that was like, no, like if you keep showing up like this, you're gonna keep losing.
Yep.
Like you're gonna keep, and when my mindset shifted, man, everything shifted. It wasn't, I used to say, oh, I don't have the right gear, or,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the right baits or the right combos. I need this, I need that, I need more time. And dude, it wasn't any of that.
Nope.
It was my attitude and my mindset.
Yeah.
So you've said it, Abby said it, Brian came on here and said it. Like I hear, Bailey say it all the time. Dude, mindset is absolutely everything. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
spot on with that,
Yep.
man. Yeah. And speaking on mindset, man, when you're breaking a lake down, and let's say you're relying on, hey, today we're going to be doing this. You mentioned earlier that at about the 2-3 hour mark, you may just pull out and go somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else.
Yeah.
At that point, are you abandoning ship? Or for those anglers that are listening and just trying to figure things out, because you mentioned another thing that really stuck out to me. You said people drive around looking at boat ramps. And I can't tell you how many times, I've been practicing for an event and I'll be putting it at a boat ramp and I'll talk to someone. I'll be talking to whoever. I'm like, what you guys doing? Just driving around, literally
Yeah.
looking at boat ramps. Just look, like physically not getting in the water, just looking at them and then leaving.
Yep.
So that's I never understood that, man. But I guess you're right. When people don't have a plan, that's what happens. So when let's say it's not going the way you want and you're getting the kayak, you're getting out of there, are you abandoning that plan and going to something totally new, or are you still trying to make the same thing happen but somewhere else?
Normally, I try to make the same thing happen somewhere else, and or what I'll do is It all depends on how far I get from the boat ramp in that 3 hours, because sometimes I'm so far from the boat ramp by that 3 hour mark. I'm like, I
Hmm.
might as well just keep going and just
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
There's another ramp that is another. I also like to know kind of where the other ramps are. So
Yeah.
if I'm sometimes I'm in 3 hours, I might be 10 miles from a boat ramp at that point.
Wow.
So if I'm in between the next boat ramp and turning around, but I can like run across the lake and then run back a different bank that's almost on a different section of the lake. That's what I'll do. Even if it takes me that extra 30 minutes to run across the lake to get to a new section and then graph that back, I feel like that's being productive on the water instead of just going back down that dead bank that you already went down. Take the extra 30 to 40 minutes, run across the lake and graph something different on the way back, and then take the extra 20 minutes back across. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times I've seen guys and I'm like 2 ramps down at that point, and they're like, "Oh, where'd you launch?" And I'm like, "Oh, up there." And they're like, "Wow, you went that far?" I'm like, Well, it's noon, so I still got another time to go all the way back that way, and I might as well be staring at a graph on the way back. So sometimes I do
Yeah.
pull out if I'm not feeling it, like really not feeling it. So, but sometimes I'll just keep going. I mean, just go, go,
Okay.
go, go, go until you're so far from a ramp. So
Yeah.
I feel like getting away from the ramp is sometimes a big key, or staying really close to the ramp, because a lot of people just scatter from the ramp, and sometimes the best fishing is in the cove where the ramp is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to get really far away, make those long runs that not everybody wants to make, especially on lakes that don't have a lot of ramps. So especially at like local stuff where everyone's launching out of the same stuff, I might burn that first half an hour, 45 minutes, and just steam, get away from everybody, and start fishing way down. So,
Yeah.
and then I start seeing people like by 1 o'clock because they're just making it down to where I'm starting in the morning.
Yeah, because they've worked their way
Yeah.
over there, but you've been there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then
Hmm.
that's actually really smart for those of you guys listening too. That's a good point that you made, man. That when you come back, I didn't even think about this, but it's very true. On your way back, you're graphing,
Always.
so you've still got a ton of water to graph, and then check out again later on if you want to.
Even if it's just a waypoint that you never come back to, but it's there for
Yeah,
you, because a lot of times I'll graph something, and in the tournament I'm 6 miles from a ramp, and but I had graphed up from the other side to get to that middle section, and I'm like, man, I put a waypoint here. Oh, there's a tree there, and I ran out to that tree and caught a big one. Like just something to have, something to go back to. Even if you don't fish it and you just graph by it, put a waypoint on it, because it's when you're got 4 fish and you got to make something happen, and you just see that little yellow icon out there, and you pull up to it and you catch one, it's worth it. I mean, instead of sitting there scrolling on your phone when you're running back or doing whatever, look at that
yeah,
graph, because even if you put even a bad waypoint, I still think it's worthwhile.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now let me ask you this. So for guys that are out here and they're running side imaging, they've got mapping and Livescope in order. Um, put those three in order of importance for people. Like, which one are you looking at primarily? Is it side imaging? Is it the topo maps or contour lines? Is it Livescope? What is it that you've actually got eyes on the most when you're doing those long runs?
Mapping,
Mapping.
100%. The mapping
Wow.
mapping leads you to everything. If you understand the mapping and the way the lake sets up and kind of what's going on that time of year, the mapping will tell you where to put the scope down. Is basically the way I look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
I look at the mapping and I say this looks good. Now I'm going to drop, either I'm going to side scan it. If I'm it all depends how keyed in I am. Is this day 1 of practice? Is this day 5 of practice? So if I'm kind of keyed into, okay, I'm looking for brush on the the points, and then I'm going to side scan that point and look for that brush. Versus if I'm looking for bait chasers, but every single bait chaser I've seen has been on a channel swing bank with 25-foot flat next to it, then that's what I'm going to look for. And I'll just motor by everything until I find that. And I'm just trying to build an A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of situation where I can pull up to this area, put the scope in the water, scope it for 15, 20 minutes, pull it up, steam another half mile, get into something else, check it, and just keep going until I get into an area where they're chasing bait. There's a very high percentage piece of cover where I'm going to throw a bait over the top of it or drag through it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is use that mapping to get me into the right depth zone. And a lot of guys don't talk about mapping in the kayak stuff, but if you put your time into the mapping, if you own all the units, buy the chips. The chips show you everything, because a lot of guys, they buy these nice units and they say, I spent $2,000 on my unit. I don't want to buy the $150 chip. The chip is everything. So it's like having a phone with no chips. So you can't make phone calls on it. Buy the $150 chip for either if it's a Humminbird, the Lake Master, or the Navionics chip for the Garmin or the Lowrance, it will show you so much instead of just the stock mapping that you get on your unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great tip, man. It's a good point because you just said it. You're already spending the money, and apart from the money, let's break down two scenarios, right? You've got two different kinds of people, and most lean in one direction. For especially with kayak anglers, you've got a group of people that buys the gear, they use it for a little bit, they get frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
they never really figure it out, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then you've got a small amount of people that kind of figure it out, put some time into it, keep trusting it, get their teeth kicked in, and then they really dial it in. But I don't know. Would you agree that that's like a really small percentage of people in the kayak world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is that, man? Why is it that, because you said it earlier. You said, contour mapping is important. And I think a lot of us know this. Why do you think it is that people just flat out ignore it, man, when it comes to lake fishing?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy they ignore it because it leaves everything to me. But I think it's just the some people aren't putting the two and two together, and I think it's also what region of the um, where you live. I mean,
Yeah.
some places. I mean, if you live in Florida, you never look at a map. You're using a paddle to stick in the mud to see how deep you are. So I
Yeah.
just think it's a lot of where I live. I mean, with Champlain and all that kind of stuff, the contour mapping is everything. I mean, I've seen it, my buddies have seen it, where 10 to 15 feet can be everything. And once you figure out what zone they're in, okay, these fish they're suspending in 30 to 40 feet of water. And if you're not in that 30 to 40 feet of water, you're not catching anything. So, like,
Yeah.
and then staying in that contour line and just following that contour line and doing the depth shading to make stuff pop off on the map where you can say, okay, I'm fishing in 20 to 25 feet. I'm going to make that purple. And that way, when I when I'm cruising down the bank and I look up and on my unit there's a purple blob out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, I'm gonna go fish that. There's a hump over there, or you running down the bank and you see a big wide band of purple. Then I'm gonna go run over there and fish it because I've been catching fish in the purple zone all week. So just a lot of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah. A lot of stuff in the details, man.
oh yeah, 100%.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I went out with a buddy this weekend. Dude, I was chasing suspended fish all day. I didn't have like a killer day. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, it was over 90 inches of spotted bass, but just using the mapping, using the side imaging, like you said, finding, the right structure, where the bait fish were, and then, where the fish are. It was just, man, it was just one of those fun days where I
Yeah.
I leaned into like 15 fish in a few hours, like 5 or 6 hours. And I didn't have to go too far from the boat ramp, but it was just a matter of like being in the right spot, using the technology the right way and calling my buddy. And he was on the other side. I was like, you need to come over here. And it took him about 3 hours, but he finally came over. And, by the time he got there, he missed out on most of the action. But yeah, I hope people listening right now that struggle with this really understand the importance of everything that you're saying, having everything dialed in, having a game plan,
Mm-hmm.
and not wasting time, man.
Yeah.
Because, dude, Jake, I've seen a lot of people quit this sport because they literally, like, I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, I've had a few buddies literally quit the sport just because it was just a matter of they couldn't catch fish. They never figured out how to use everything the right way, all the gear,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. Kayak sitting at home, no more tournaments, no more fishing. They're just hanging out now.
Yeah.
And so, it doesn't have to be that way,
Nope.
you know?
Yeah.
So, but dude, so you've given us a little juice on how you approach, everything. We still haven't gotten into the deeper stuff with Livescope. I want to get into that,
Mm-hmm.
into a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
But talk to us, for your AOY year, your run that you just had. as far as like, okay, we're using mapping, you're making long runs, and you get out there. What does your presentation protocol look like when you're out here and you drop live scope in the water? Like, is there a bait that you reach for first? I know it's seasonal and where you're at, but do you kind of have like a protocol or a list or a
Yeah,
plan that you follow?
a
Yeah.
hundred
Talk
percent.
talk talk to us about that, man.
Yeah, so like if it's a lot of spinning poles,
Yeah.
um, it kind of depends, but I'll just give a very generic um, for largemouth and then for smallmouth. For smallmouth, it's going to be a jerk bait, a minnow, some kind of small, compact little football jig, open water sniper, something along those lines is normally tied on a tube. So I kind of like to have something up high um, that if I see one cruising 3 to 4 feet under the water, I can throw a popper at them or something along those lines for some really high suspended fish.
Hmm.
And um, then normally I have like 3 to 4 minnows on, just because they all do something different for me, different weights, different colors, different styles of minnow. Something that rolls really heavily, something that rolls not almost not at all. So you can pick up a different minnow really quick. Um, Maybe a Nico rig is sometimes something that can trick them, um, and that's very basic for the smallmouth. I mean, the smallmouth, they're normally pretty hungry. They're normally not the smartest ones, especially the northern smallmouth.
Yeah.
So if you can get around enough of them and they start competing with each other, their brain turns off and it's all eating. Um, and then for the largemouth, um, that minnow still plays pretty heavily for me. I like to have something I can flip to individual fish, so like a bigger jig, like a bigger football jig, or like a 3/4 ounce flipping jig. Something that I can just, okay, there's one sitting against a stump. I can flip it right out to them and see what they do with it. I mean,
Mhm.
basically, all I'm looking for is what do they do with the bait? Are they interested in it at all? Are they jetting away from it when it hits the water because they're super spooky? Um, Something along those lines. That Nico rig plays a lot for me, um, and just throwing that Nico rig at individual fish and getting it down to them and seeing what they do. I mean, do they want me to shake it above them? Do they want it dead on the bottom? Um, do they want it dragged? Do they hopped? So the Nico rig is a big player. Um, but I mean, a lot of the baits I throw aren't necessarily like I'm not using it to directly target individual fish, and sometimes I am. So I might be making the cast with Livescope just to make a higher percentage cast. Like if I'm cranking down a bank using a DT10, my scope's in the water, I'm panning it, but just to make a higher percentage cast is pretty
Mhm.
much it. I might not see a fish on that cast, but I'm using it to line up and make a cast that looks more fishy than the cast I probably would have made without it. But
Okay.
so
Okay.
always have it in the water unless I'm up super shallow. But anything 5 or 6 feet plus, it's in the water pretty much.
Okay. Awesome. And then, so tell me, the more I talk to you, man, the more I realize how efficient you are with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I'm starting to figure out, okay, why you get so dialed in with live scope, but you're able to do other things as well.
Yep.
And which is, it's really cool to see that. And I love that. That's, when I talk to people, you start to see, okay, this guy's really got some things figured out. So it sounds like you're super efficient.
Yes.
Now, as far as the 2025 season, what were your top three performing baits on average? Or did it change for you like every event? Was it different every event?
Man, I leaned pretty heavy on a minnow this year. The
Yeah.
schedule set
Okay.
up for it, and I was okay with that. Um, Having the ability to lean on that minnow a lot. I caught a key fish, at least one in every single event. Champlain was just a minnow fest. I knew it was going to be, so that's all I had with me. And then Dale Hollow, I caught every single fish on a minnow there too. Um,
Nice.
I really got pretty keyed in onto what was going on there when I was there. Um, there was a when I got there day one, I started going down the bank and flipping a jig to bushes, and I was catching them, but I felt like every day I was there, the fish were leaving. They were leaving the banks and they were going offshore. And then I started catching them in the middle of pockets, like dead center of the pocket. I caught 220s in a pocket, big largemouth, all spawned out. So I knew that spawn was leaving. And
Yeah.
so then I just started going, looking, and I got really keyed into these fish were leaving the banks. Every day the banks were getting worse. Every day my scope bite was getting better. They were getting back out onto the bait, and they were just feeding up, crushing bait, and it just felt like I was at Champlain. I mean, just bait chasers everywhere, big singles, but they were smart. Those Dale Hollow fish were. They made
Yeah.
me super frustrated. I mean,
No, dude, if they made you frustrated, trust me, I was there and dude, I abandoned that offshore bite. I abandoned it super quick because they were intelligent, man.
no,
Like
super. They were super
yeah,
smart. If you weren't working that minnow absolutely perfectly, they wouldn't bite it. And I think I know I was casting at 200 plus bass a day to catch 8 to 10 a
golly.
day. But every one
Yeah,
I caught was a big one. So I knew if I put the scope in the water and didn't take it out and just went and looked, I was going to catch eight and they were all going to be the right ones. So I, that's just I have so much confidence in scoping and I do it a lot. So I had the confidence to sit out there and do it and basically beat my head against a wall and just
yeah.
watch these freaks of nature come up and just follow that minnow right behind it the whole time, all the way to my feet. I mean, I saw some fish that would come up to the side of the boat, but every single one I was catching was like 18, 19, 20s. I had a super good practice at that one, but it was slow. Like I was catching like 6 to 7 a day, or 8 one day, and then I caught 10 one day. But I had really good bags, but it was super slow. But everyone I got was
Yeah.
good, I just said I'm going to commit to this because I think it's the deal, and I think that bank bite's leaving, and that's what I did there. 10 killer was a little bit different for me. I did get on a really good minnow bite, but I was super nervous that those fish were going to leave where I found them. It was a little too close for my liking to a boat ramp, even though I say fishing around boat ramps can be really good.
Mhm.
It was on a very obvious spot, I thought. So I didn't love that. So I went up and started flipping bushes and started catching them. And so chased the shad spawn around in the morning until the sun got up high, and then that shad spawn died. And we started flipping bushes, catching some on the big rod, and then went way offshore and started shaking a minnow on stumps and caught some key fish both days out there off of some deep stumps. I mean, these fish were incredibly hard to see on scope. You were almost blind casting to the stump, and then as you brought the minnow over, one would just rise up out of the bottom. And we, I'd caught some big ones in practice out there doing that, but I think with the fluctuation of water and the way the water was moving,
Mhm.
how they were dumping
Mhm.
water out, and the water levels coming up, I think it just screwed up the way they set up on that spot. I still did catch some out there, but dragging a Carolina rig, um, and then 2 or 3 on a minnow. But key fish, really key fish at that event. But did most of my damage there flipping trees, flipping
Okay.
bushes.
Okay. Do you mind sharing with the listeners your favorite minnow setup?
Yeah, so I like I use the Douglas 744. Um, I was a Dobbins guy. I just switched to Douglas this last couple of months, and
Okay.
I really enjoy them. It was a very easy switch over for me. Um, and they've been great, and I've been putting a ton of time in with them to really dial them in. And the 744 is a great minnow rod. Um, and then a 3,000 size spinning reel, um, 10-pound braid to either like a 10 to 12-pound leader, depending what I'm doing. And
Okay.
then I like the depth sock Amada shad. I don't think it's a secret anymore.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
luck getting them. I think I own half the stock pile of them at this point.
That's funny.
But that minnow, there's something about it. It just rolls so good, and um, the colors are great. The plastic's really soft. They're expensive, but I think it's worth it. I only throw them in derbies. That's it. They don't get thrown in fun fishing. But
Oh, really?
yeah,
But you throw them in practice, right? You throw
I
them in
do throw
practice
them
or
in
no?
practice.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay.
um, but
That's smart, man.
if it's not a big derby, I don't got it tied on. But if it's a
Okay.
derby,
Hey.
it's 100% locked and loaded. It's on. We got a bunch of bags with us. But fun fishing wise, I'll throw like a mooch minnow, a freeloader, um, that kind of stuff. Or the jerk shads are great. I mean, they come in all different sizes, all different colors, from the small little baby Z2 up to the 7-inch one. I'll throw them
Yeah.
all. So, and then um, owner range roller, Queen City heads. I bounce around between heads, but having different sizes is 100% key. I've seen it where going from a 3/16 up to a quarter has made all the difference in the world per fish. So having that different weight and having the ability to grab a rod based on the way the fish is set up in the water column for the minnow is huge. I mean, if you see one up
Okay.
high, having the ability to, sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 rods laid out on my deck, ready to go. So I see one that's up high, reach down, grab that 1/8 head and throw it at that fish, or reach down. Oh, there's a super deep one that I see. I'm going to turn around, grab that half-ounce head, and chuck it at it. So it all depends on how they're set up and how they want it. But dialing in that kind of stuff is the difference maker 100% of the time, is dialing in the weight of the head and then the size and color of the bait and the action of the bait, because every bait does something a little bit different.
Okay. Now, look. Okay. All right. So, look, man. For me, being out here on linear, okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, dude, I think. Let me see here. When was the last time I caught a jig and minnow fish? I lost one on the stroll shad with a guppy head this past weekend, and then before that, man. I mean, I think it's been months.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I can go out here and catch these. I have a lot of confidence right now in a tailspin
Yep.
or a spy bait.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's big for us here on Lake Lanier. So let's say for someone like me who really struggles to get bit on a jig and minnow, and for those guys that are still trying to figure it out, and they still don't, because I know a lot of guys, man, dude, they can't get bit to save their lives. And so they put it down, and I feel that way sometimes. So I make myself tie 2 jig and minnow rods every time I go out.
Mm-hmm.
Just so, like, like you said, a lighter head, a heavier head to make sure that I put it to use. What advice would you give for people like me or people who are listening now that are struggling with that bite? What are a few key tips that are going to help them get a few extra bites?
Take all your tackle out of your boat, bring a box of jig heads, 3 bags of plastics, and just go out there and do it. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get better at it and put the time into it. And it's going to suck. It's going to be frustrating. But again, that light bulb's going to click at some point in time. Um, I will say sometimes I struggle when I go down south because of how much trash fish you guys have in the water. But
Yeah, yeah,
normally, like if I'm so like at Dale, by like probably the fourth day I was there, I wasn't even casting at trash fish. I knew what the bass looked like and how they were swimming, where they were positioned, so I didn't waste any casts. But like earlier in the week, I was casting at gar, I was casting at
hmm
those white bass that you guys have down there, and
yeah,
crappie and all that kind of stuff. But learning what a bass looks like on scope is very important. And I think going to a lake that you have confidence in that sets up for the minnow bite. There are lakes it does not set up for them to eat a minnow at all. So going to a lake that is deeper, clearer, they're eating bait, they're out there suspending, um, and go to a place that you have confidence in, where you've caught them dragging that football jig, where you've caught them offshore doing that type of stuff, and you can go try to do the minnow thing and go to those lakes, those deep, clear bait chaser lakes. Everyone knows them. They talk about them all the time, and try that. And that should help people a lot with that bite. Is don't bring all your stuff with you, because all you're going to be doing is, okay, I'm going to put this down, put it behind you, and then you're never going to touch it all day. And you just got to go out
Yeah.
there and learn it and put your head down and try different baits. Order all the different ones, order the different size heads, try different heads, because not every head is made equally. So some of them are just more of that standard ball head shape, and other ones have the wings on the heads, and they do different stuff. So you just really got to play with everything.
Yeah. Well, folks, you heard the man. Give it time
Mm-hmm.
and leave all your rods at home. Leave your 6, 8, 10, however many rods you got. I take like 9 rods out, 10 rods still in here. So
Yep.
um, I'm gonna take you up on that, man.
Yeah. Try it.
I'm gonna go out there with just nothing but jig and minnow rod set up,
Yeah.
and I need to, man. It's just it's one of those techniques that you you've got to know to move forward in tournament fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Kayak or bass boat, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
more people are doing it in the kayak now, slowly, very slowly, compared to the boat world.
Hmm.
So um, I think it's a big gap in the kayak game, and I see the very few people that do it are doing very well at it. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, dude, as we get close to the hour mark, man. Um, Talk to us about your Livescope setup,
mhm.
which unit you're running,
Yep.
maybe a few tips for people on how to get that dialed in. It doesn't have to be anything too complicated, but tell us a little bit about your setup
Yep.
and how you've got it going.
Yeah. So right now I'm running 3 units on the kayak. Um,
Nice, 3.
yeah, I do run three. I like the way it sets up, and each one has its own use, and it does a different job for me. Um, you don't need all three, but it's nice.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I like it because so I'm running a Garmin, a Humminbird, and then another Garmin. So I'm running for my scope unit, and it only does scope for me, is a Garmin GPS Map 1222. It's the non-touchscreen model with the big dial on it.
yeah,
One of the cheapest units that you
yeah.
can buy for Livescope. That's a 12-inch, and I really like it. Um, I don't need the touchscreen on that unit, and I don't care for the touchscreen actually that much, because I don't change very much on my units. Um, and then I'm running a 1022 GPS map as well, same exact unit, just a 10-inch. That's a standalone mapping unit. It always has
Okay.
mapping on it. It's got the Garmin Hot Maps chip in it, I believe, and
Hmm.
that one's standalone mapping. And then I have a Humminbird Helix 10, um, and that one's my side scan, my 2D, and um, a kind of a backup mapping. Um,
Okay.
I will buy the chips if I really think I need it for that lake. Where in my research, if someone says, "Oh, the you need the Humminbird chip for here," so I have Humminbird chips for certain parts of the um, states, but not every state do I have a chip for. So
Okay. Cool.
some places it's very different when you look at a Garmin versus a Humminbird mapping. The Humminbird might show
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
something that the Garmin does not show you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it's very crucial having both as a reference point. Um, so, and that one does just mapping, side scan, and that's it. And that's what I rock with. seems to be the best system for me. I'm running that Sniper Marine pole. Don't think there's a better pole on the market. I've
Yeah, I agree with that.
I've
Yeah.
tried most of them, and they're okay. They can get the job done, but if you really want to get into scoping and get good at it, I think that sniper pole will give you an advantage, 100%.
Yeah.
Not having
Yeah,
to
it
lean
really.
out over the side of the boat anymore,
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
man, my back thanks me because I was out there leaning out over the side of the boat,
Mhm.
and then bring it back, and then lean out over the front of the boat, and a nightmare. And but now with that sniper pole, I can just sit back in my chair and don't even got to move. So it's been great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude, it's worth the investment, and
Yeah.
just shameless plug, the sniper, man. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've, like, been rotating it, and there's a fish behind me, and I just turn around and swivel back and toss over there and catch that fish. Dude, I couldn't do that as well before, and, I used to I used to hit myself in the hip,
Hmm.
like, trying to find fish. Like, I'd jam myself in the hip, so, I've tried a few different ones, and, man, you can't beat that one. You
No.
can't beat that system.
And
Yeah, so
I think the speed at what you can spin that really helps.
oh, yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you're cruising down the lake, I mean, I'll run on 2 miles an hour and still just be panning, looking for bait, looking for
Mhm.
suspended fish. And the
Yeah.
ability to run at full speed or partially full speed and scope is, I mean,
It's a big deal.
you can't. And the fact that the sniper pole has all the different tensioning stuff where you can tension it to be pretty tight so that when you let
Mhm.
go, it doesn't backspin. A lot of the other poles don't have that. So every time you let go of the pole, your thing's going whoop, not pointing the right
Yeah.
way. And
Yeah.
there's your opportunity. I mean, sometimes you're getting 1 to 2 opportunities at these fish. And I think that's another crucial thing is making the best opportunity count. Like, so if I see one, say it's at 100 feet away, and I might try to get that fish closer before I make like I call them like sloppy casts. Like I'll try to make.
Mhm.
Sometimes it matters about how far away I are. Most time it doesn't. So I'll try to get closer to that fish. Really take my time, lined up, and make that first presentation should be your best presentation because most of the time
Yeah.
after that first cast, I'm gone. Unless the fish didn't see it, you just got to move on. That fish saw your bait. He either engaged with it, didn't engage with it, or he didn't eat it, or you missed the hook set because you're at a weird angle and something goes wrong. And in those tournaments like Dale Hollow, where I was catching 6 to 9, 10 fish a day, I mean, you lose 1 or 2 of those fish in that day, and you're at a 4 fish limit. So taking the time to get in a position where the wind's not going to blow your boat around, or get in line with the wind, or just take that extra 10, 15 seconds to really make the perfect cast. Make it glow as much as you can on your scope. Because I'm always back and forth on the sniper pole, left, right, trying to make that fish glow as much as I can before I make the cast to make sure I'm making the best cast I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably
Well,
only getting one shot at that fish.
yeah, that is absolutely right. Yeah. Then that was well said, man. Your first presentation, man,
That's it.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's the
think
one. That's well said.
and I think a lot of guys that are getting into the scoping, they they see the fish and they make that first presentation. It's a sloppy presentation, and then they're spending so much time trying to make another presentation, another presentation, and by that amount of time that you're spending grabbing a different rod, doing this, doing that, you could already been moved on and been at a fresh, brand new fish. I mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty of times where it's just one cast. He somewhat looks at it, and something's not right about it. He swims away. I'm up, motored, gone. I'm moving on. And a lot of people can't get that out of their head. They say, oh, there's a fish there. I'm going to try to catch him. But sometimes the best solution is to leave it alone and just keep going and move on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I had a hard time with that myself.
I did too until I learned because even sometimes when I'm fun fishing, I'll make a presentation to a fish. I think I can try to catch them again. And I have chased fish forever trying to catch them. And once you make that first presentation, you can't catch them again. Normally, very, very rarely. unless they're in a big school,
Yeah.
because then a deeper
Yeah.
one's
So
coming up, a fresh one.
so you move on after the first, second cast, you're gone.
Gone. If I think the fish got a very good look at it, like if I think the fish saw it, looked at it, gave it the time of day to, and I made a good cast, I'm gone. Something's either
Yeah.
wrong with my presentation, or um, that fish just doesn't want to eat right then and there. And I don't think grabbing a different rod and trying to make a different presentation at that fish is worth it when you can just move on and go to the next spot, go try to find that next suspender, and just let it go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get
Well, dude, that is
frustrated with that.
yeah, that is such a that's such a big lesson, man. But dude, that's extremely well said. And I think going back to what I said earlier, um, I think a lot of us maybe had a partial picture as to why you were sitting, you know, at the front of that AOY race all year, and now I have a full picture, and that is that you are an efficient angler.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to ask you this, man, as we wrap up and close this episode up. Um, what do you think for 2026? How are you feeling about 2026 and that schedule?
I mean, the schedule definitely doesn't favor me particularly, but I've I've won tournaments without scope, so I'm not super nervous about it. I can I feel like I can do whatever I need to do. I'm a very versatile angler. If I need to pull out a frog rod, I have no issue doing it, and I I know when it's time to put the scope away and just go throw that chatterbait, spinnerbait, that moving bait down the bank, and I have no issue doing that. And um, so, with that schedule being more shallow oriented, I'm just going to change what I do a little bit, and still going to try the offshore stuff. And but I think I'm going to spend a little bit more time using my kayak to my advantage in that schedule, and maybe um, try some different stuff and make some stuff happen, or go more towards the standard um, beat the bank stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
and just try to do something a little bit different than what every other guy's doing. But I'm still going to do it with as much confidence as I possibly can. So um,
Yeah.
even if it's not my wheelhouse, I'm going to try to make it my wheelhouse, or I'll go put a ton of time into doing all the shallow stuff. I mean, no issue doing that, and dialing in something along those lines. Like Abby obviously has dialed in the chatterbait, and he was explaining some of that stuff to me, and it seems like a very cool way that he has dominated with a chatterbait everywhere he's gone. So uh, just got to find whatever my niche is going to be for that next year, and maybe find some new baits and take that around and do the same thing.
Well, dude, the way you break everything down, I have no doubt you'll be up there at the front again. And
Yeah,
I look forward to being there with you, man. I'll be at 4 of those events,
yeah.
so I'll look forward to seeing you there, man. And dude, watching you do great things again, man. And I appreciate you coming on here and adding value to everyone listening. To myself, I'm going to take away some of these things and put them to use. So, dude, thank you so much, and I look forward to having you back on and talking about the same things, and
Yeah.
hoping that, hey, you're back up top, so we're gonna have another discussion, dude. And dude, I wish you the best of luck, man,
Thank you. I
with
appreciate
everything.
it.
Yeah,
And hopefully some of these
absolutely,
tips
man.
helped you out. Get that
Yeah, dude,
get that minnow
100%,
dialed
bro.
in.
Yeah, dude, that's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm not even kidding. Like, I have to do it. I just recognize, like, I've got to do it.
Yeah.
Um, there's just no avoiding it.
Yeah.
So, but dude, let us know where we can find you, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, and if you have anything you want to plug right now,
Yeah.
sponsors, gear, apparel, whatever, man, let us know.
Yep. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much most platforms I'm on. It's just my first and last name, Jake Angeles. You should be able to search that and I should pop up. Um, I want to big shout out to all the companies I worked with this last season that really helped me. New Canoe, Sniper Marine. Um, Super excited to work with Douglas for this upcoming season. I got a full line of rods from them, and I'm
Awesome.
really digging them. They're super nice. They're more of a Northeast based company, so I felt like it was a great fit for me. Moving over to them, they're a little bit closer to home for me. Um, and then running that power pole move again this year. So nothing's really going to change for them. And then yeah, New Canoe Unlimited has been great for me this last season, and can't wait for this upcoming season.
Awesome, dude. Well, awesome, man. I know that they're stoked to see what you're gonna do, and so are the rest of us, bro. But thank you so much,
Yeah,
man, and I appreciate you, and I can't wait to have you back on, man.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed that episode with Jake. Such a great guy, young dude that's coming up, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. I hope you've taken something away. If you've got a topic that you want to hear more about, or if you'd like to hear some other tips, drop them down below. Leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. Remember, Kayak Fishing Weekly is a part of the Serious Angler Network. We've got all kinds of benefits for you down below. Check out the description, check out the links there for you guys to use, for you guys to enjoy. And guys, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, whatever plans you have this week, I hope you get to send it. See you on the next one.